possibly streaming live, I believe. Says that we're live, but we're not getting a timer. There we go. We good, I believe. Somebody in the chat, let me know if we're good. Can we link this? Pretty sure we're live. Just need somebody to.
Yeah,
We are live.
You're showing your right now.
I know. As long as we're live. All right, guys. Welcome. Somebody link this, please, in the chat. There it is. Perfect. That is not the right logo, but we'll fix it later. This is obviously Callus Invitational 6, not 5, but I didn't have time to fix it. Okay, I'm joined by Jabba and Zakaru. We are going to live draw the pairings for you guys, and this is going to look remarkably similar to last year. So we have the Aqua bracket and the Magma bracket. These numbers here are the first person drawn is going to be here, second person is going to be here, third person is going to be here, and so on and so forth. Basically, we're just going to bounce around a little bit between the brackets to keep it fresh. Here, I have the players. They're simply in alphabetical order. There's nothing to it, other than being alphabetical. And then here we have the random number generator to pull them up. And basically, we're going to fill out both brackets. Hopefully, one of my mods or whatever is watching and can fill out predictions as we go. And once we get pairings, Jabba, Zoc, and I are going to give some expert, thoroughly prepared insight into the matter. Right, guys?
Of course, as always.
We are ready.
Perfect. Without further ado, and I apologize for starting late, guys. We had some technical difficulties because I'm a moron. We are going to pull the first pairing. So let's start. Random number generator. I'm going to start with 160. There we go. 1 through 16. Here's the first number. Number 15 is going to be here, which is who? That is Stratos, however we pronounce that. And he's going to be against number 2, which is Bush Tush. Jabba?
No, that's a pairing. Jumpy Stratos. He's new to this, the whole CI thing. I know he used to be a doubles god, which who knows how well that translates. No, he's a really good player. I've known him for a while. He's a good guy. Bush Tush is obviously the punching bag of play-ins. I'm pretty sure that's why you put him in there every single year, just to make fun of him. So I'm taking Jumpy in this one. I think he's got a lot to show. He's got a lot of good support too, I think.
How about you, Zuck?
Well, I don't have the informations on how seriously Bush Tush is taking the tournament. He just won OST, if I'm not mistaken, so he's a good singles player. How will that translate to ADV OU? That should be he should be all right, but I don't know if he takes the tournament seriously. He should get his spot into the main event. But if he just load teams and click, Stratos should obviously win the series.
Oh, no. You don't get off the hook. You got to pick one.
I have to pick one. Okay, so I will trust my guy Bush Tush, and I think he will take the tournament seriously this year.
Go ahead.
To make a different opinion than Jabba.
We did not get to do as much pregame as I wanted to because we started late, which was my fault. Let me just briefly look at what you guys think going into this. Let's see. According to you guys, let's see. You have Siglet, Rob Jr., sadly CS, and Leo as the four guys that you really think are going to, and Pogus too. Those are the real standouts for you guys as the favorites. So none of them are involved in this pairing. I mean, Stratos right now is 1654 on ladder, which is higher than Bush Tush has ever been, or is probably even capable of being, right? I'm biased. in a loving way. Bush Tush and I have a wager, as we did last year. He bet me $50 last year that he would make it out of his bracket, and he was swiftly 2-0 defeated by Kurtz in the first round. This year, which speaks to his confidence level in himself, he only wanted to bet $20 rather than 50. So, no, I love Bush. He was my SPL co-manager last year. He's obviously somebody that I have a good relationship with, but I don't think he's as good at ADV as he thinks that he is, and I have a wager against him. So I'm going to pick Stratos here. Stratos, Jumpy, whatever you want to call him. All right, we're going to go to the next pairing here, which is going to be on the other side now. We're going to the Magma bracket. And it doesn't look like one of my mods is filling this in as we go, so I'm going to have to do this all after, but that's fine. It's going to be number 6. That would be Leo, who you guys think is one of the favorites. Leo in the Magma bracket here. Against number 3, which is Cyber Odin. There's a spicy pairing.
Oh,
Zakru.
well, this one is probably the highlight of the first round, even though we didn't see the other pairings. But both are probably top 3 or top 5 of the Plains players, and it's a tough one. I will say, Cyber Odin is a more experienced ADV player, from what I know. So, yeah, I will go with the easy pick, and I will pick Cyber Odin. But Leo could win it, but I will take Odin.
So for me, a word that you're going to hear very often when we discuss these play-ins is consistency. I think this play-ins as a whole is a group of people with a lot of good things about their game and a lot of upside, but a lot of inconsistency in various ways. Like I said, you're going to hear that from me throughout these explanations, and I think that applies here. Leo, I'm well aware of his 1700 plus ladder run, which is very difficult to do. I'm also aware that in ROAPL he went like 1-4, 1-5 in ADV, including losing some ugly games against people that I don't think are incredible. So I've seen that side of Leo as well. I don't. If you're 1700 and you're not cheating, you're doing something right. So the talent has to be there. But I don't know that the consistency is there. And Odin's the same thing. Odin, I think, has games where it looks like, man, that's the 6-3 SPL Odin from a couple years ago. That's the Odin that almost beat Asta when he first played Callus Invitational. That Odin's great, but I've also seen the very predictable, what the fuck is this team? What are you doing, Odin, that just loses to some jabloni. So it's hard for me to pick this match because I don't feel like either of these players are particularly consistent. But gun to my head, having to make a pick, I believe in Odin more. So I'm going to go with him, even though his results in this tournament as a whole, both play-ins and main event, have left plenty to be desired.
I guess it's me now. This is a tough one for me. I'm not too familiar with Leo's ADV. Obviously, he's one of the better players in the game right now. Hence why you see the predictions overwhelmingly in his favor. Typically, when I see players like that, I kind of notice a bit of a boring builds that are brought. So I don't know if that's the same for Leo, or if he plays that similar game to a lot of people who are kind of implants into the tier. Cyber Odin, I think, is in play-ins this year, right? For the 0-4, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually an 0-4 in Callus Invitational, 3-4. Last year he was in play-ins, and I think he lost in the first or second round.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just for that reason alone, I think I have to take Leo. Cyber Odin, I think, is a bit exploitable sometimes, especially recently. Obviously, as you said in the past, he's crushed it, but I think I don't see him winning this game. But you never know.
Yeah, I don't feel super confident in my pick. I think that one can really go either way. So, moving along to 5 and 6 now. So we're back to the Aqua bracket, but it's on the other side. So couldn't face one of these Bush Tush Stratos gentlemen until the finals, if either of them were to make it there. Let's see who we have. We have number 6, who is Leo. Nope. How about number 5? Kale. Okay. Kale Pora against number 9. That's a pairing. It's going to be Kale against Fio.
Oh.
Back to Java.
Oh, that sucks. I like both these players. I think Fio had a really good SPL. I think they only ended up 3-3 maybe, but the games looked good. I thought they were quality games, and obviously Kale's Kale. You gotta love him. He's playing back in SPL 2. Had some good seasons. He's still around. He's hanging around. He's still playing pretty well. I called him out the other day for running what I would call maybe questionable teams, and he was like, what do you mean?" I was like, I didn't know how to respond to that. I was like, yeah, sometimes I question what you're loading up, but the play's still there, and I just got to go with him. I've known this guy for over 10 years. He's a great player, and when he brings heat, you never know what he's going to bring. That's a great thing about Kale. And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not, but I got to back him.
I'll go next and keep it brief because Jabba said most of what I want to say. Kale is one of the most entertaining players. I think he's great for the spectators because his teams are all over the place. Harking back to my point of consistency, Kale's a great example. I think he's one of the best players in these play-ins, but his teams are very questionable. They're anywhere from outright bad to good-ish, but they're never like better than that. I think Kale really shoots himself in the foot sometimes with teams that are a little more wild than good. That being said, Fio is one of the players I know the least about. I did watch his SPL games. He does play sometimes on Pokemon Perfect. I don't know. I mean, he's one of those players. This is who comes to mind. I mean this in the most positive way possible, not derogatory at all. When I see Fio, it reminds me of Max und Max and of Googly. Players that, like, when they first came into the scene, it's like, I don't understand how this guy is winning. It's like he's lucky and bad. What the fuck is going on? But he's winning. But as it turns out, as a little time passed, those guys were actually really good, both of them. So, like, maybe that's what we see with Fio. I look at his games and it's like, man, his teams don't seem that exciting. He's not making plays. We're not double switching. Like, I don't understand what's special about this guy. But he wins a bunch. So, like, maybe I just don't see it, or maybe he's a real up-and-comer. I really... Man, verdict's still out for me on Fio. I'm going to pick with bias, because I've also known him for more than 10 years. I'm going to pick Kale.
Well, the thing with Theo is that he's quite a fast learner, and when he played SPL, he wasn't at his ADV peak. He was like he had picked the tier for some time, but he wasn't really experienced yet, and still did a fine job. So if he takes the tournament seriously and he made his homeworks, I think he could be quite a surprising player. So I think I will go with him because just I want to trust in his ability to step up really quickly.
Frenchman backing up one of his own. I can appreciate that. Let's go back over to the Magma bracket now for this upper right side of the bracket. Number 13. Is it Sadlecius or is it Sadlecius? I've always said Sadlecius, but I think it's actually supposed to be Sadlecius. All one smooth thing. But either way, it's going to be him. And he's going to be against Voyager, number 16. Java? Uh-oh. Are you still here? Am I still here?
Sorry, I was muted. My bad.
Oh, there we go.
Boomer status.
It happens. Sadlecius
Yeah.
are... First of all, pronounce it for me. Is it Sadlecius or is it Sadlecius?
I always say sadly see us, but
That's what
I
I
could be
always say
wrong.
too, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. Just say sadly. There you go.
That's right.
We did it. Sadly dropped the fire video, the intro video to the tournament. That was pretty heat. Um, Actually, I don't know much about Voyager. You know how I am. This happens every single year. I don't know much about this player because I'm out of touch and old. Sadly, had an interesting play-ins run last year. Had a really good set against Teclis, I recall, and then a rough set against a really bad player. So considering I don't know much about Voyager, I'll just have to go sadly here.
Zoc?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Sadlesius grew up as a player a lot these two last years. So I don't know Voyager much. I think he plays some Arena of Valor tournaments like EuroPL or stuff like that. But like I never saw him on the big stage. So I think I will just go with Sadlesius because yeah, it's the obvious pick, and I don't know much about the opponent.
So, what's the magic word of the day, class? Great.
Consistency?
Consistency. There we go. Zakaru knows. So, sadly, CS is the same thing. I think that he's probably the most knowledgeable person about the tier in all of play-ins. He definitely knows the tier, and knows EVs, and knows calcs and all that. He's probably the most knowledgeable person here, and I think his teams are pretty good. I think he's one of the better builders too. My issue with Sadly CS lies in the piloting ability. I feel that he chokes late games a lot like Eden used to back in the day. I feel like late games he really feels the pressure. I feel like when he thinks the matchup is really bad, he doesn't know how to dig out of it, and he starts just kind of clicking and going off the rails. And I think that his ceiling is not necessarily as high as some of the other people in the play-ins. That being said, I don't think his floor is as low as some of the people in the play-ins, but I think sadly CS's biggest weakness is his piloting. Voyager is a hard person to predict because he just doesn't have the same results, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like he has bad results, just quantity-wise, he doesn't have as many results. He's newer to the scene as these other people. I drafted him this year for ROAPL, didn't really know much about him. It was kind of just like a recommendation of somebody else on the team. And I was impressed by his play. He ended up subbing in like week 3 or 4, and he ended up starting for the rest of the tournament. Likewise, he's in Mushi League. Not that that is the measure of how good someone is at Pokemon, but like I watch his games in that, and I think he generally plays well. Voyager, I think, will become a better player than sadly CS is today, but I don't think he's there yet. I think he's too new. I think sadly has way more experience and is the better builder, whereas Voyager is taking other people's teams. So I think sadly we'll take this one down. So we're in unanimous agreement there. Now back to the aqua bracket over here, and then it just starts jumping around a bit to keep it exciting. But first one is here. Number 2, I think we already got. Yep, that's Bush. Number 11 is Pogis. Okay. So to be very clear, this next name is not going to be the opponent of Pogis. It's going to be this person right here on the other bracket. 16, we have 7 is Mead. Okay. And now, how did I structure this? Oh, now we're going over here. Okay, it's gonna, the pairings, we're gonna fill them out slowly at the end. Number 12 is Rob Jr. Okay.
I can't wait till you learn how to properly do pairings and brackets and things like that. It reminds me of season 1 when you didn't know how to do double elimination.
What's wrong with doing it this way? It's more fun.
Sure.
15 Stratos, 16 Voyager, 15 Stratos, 7 I think we have. We'll get one eventually, boys. 6 is Leo. 7 is somebody that we already did. 14 is Siglet. Okay, where is... Right here. Siglet. Alright, now... I'm just going to go ahead and speed this up since there are only 4 people left. We're going to do that trick. So who are the 4 that haven't been picked yet? It's Arctic, Jim Cool, Pock, and Leech. And everybody else has been picked. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 now for the sake of speeding this up. So the next opponent, the next one picked is going to be here against Pogis. And that's going to be Arctic Breeze. Sakaru?
For what I know, I think Arctic Breeze is kind of a jack of all trades. Like he plays a lot of different tiers. Like Pogis. The difference is that Pogis used to be a very top tier player in a lot of tiers, where Arctic Breeze is, I mean, he's a fine player, but he's like middle of the pack. And yeah, Pogis should win this match. Yeah, I can't predict against Pogis unless there is like a very high tier player in front of him. So no disrespect for Arctic, but Pogis is just really strong, and he's been farming rebounds for like 3 or 4 years now after retiring from the huge tournaments. So yeah, it's hard to go against that.
My turn.
By all means.
Um, this is a good pairing. This should be a really good match. I'm looking forward to watching it. Pogis is obviously. I think you said he was one of the 4 favorites. People are expecting him to go far. I have a lot of confidence in Arctic Breeze, as you're aware. I think when he puts his mind to something, he's one of those new up and coming players, in my opinion. When he puts his mind to something, he locks in. You look at NUPL, which I played. He started playing advanced NU. By the end of the season, he was the best player, in the entire Premier League. So I think if he puts that same kind of determination in the play-ins, I think you're going to see someone who might be able to run through this entire bracket. So I'm going to take him for that reason. I have a lot of confidence in him making his way out of this.
I think I'm actually going to pick Arctic as well. Pogis is probably the single overall best player in play-ins if we're talking about all tiers. Him or Bush Tush. Like if I had to start my SPL team with one person, it's either Pogis or Bush Tush for sure. So I mean, I have the world of respect for Pogis, but he'll be the first person to tell you. He admits that of all the tiers that he plays, ADV he thinks is his worst one, is his weakest one. I think that they're both going to put substantial effort in. Arctic, I know, is a sweaty tryhard. I'm operating with anybody in this tournament that they're going to give a shit and put effort in. I certainly hope that would be the case, and I would be disappointed if not. Yeah, I mean, I would never be surprised if Poe just beat anyone because he's just a fantastic Pokemon player as a whole. But Arctic, I think, is just really hungry to prove himself. He's a young guy. He is relatively new to the scene. Pokemon has this whole clout, ego, get good, be liked thing going on, which I hate, but it's just a fact of life. And I think that matters to him, and I think he wants to really show something here. So I think that Arctic is probably better at ADV specifically than Pogis, even if he's not an overall better Pokemon player. And I think there's going to be no shortage of sweaty tryhardness from him. So I'm going to take Arctic here. Alright, now Mead needs an opponent. And that'll be not number 1 again. Still not number 1. Is my mouse frozen or something? Give me a different number. There we go. Let's try again. Number 1. Number 2. I swear, it just gave me number 1 like 5 times in a row. I swear I was clicking. It's going to be number 2. Jimothy Cool is going to be the opponent of Mead. I haven't gone first on any of these, so I'm going to go first. Okay, so Mead had that 1800 plus ladder run, which is an incredibly high score, higher than I've ever been, and I think only 4 or 5 people or whatever have ever been that high. I would put an asterisk on that it was with the stupid baton pass team that now wouldn't even be legal. He does hover 1600-ish consistently on ladder. His results are good there. So, like, all signs would point to Mead winning. But Mead's tournament results leave plenty to be desired. In his first ever tournament, to my knowledge, ADVPL, he went 0-4 in Mushi League, which is not the highest level of competition. He hasn't really crushed that either. I don't know if tournament nerves are a thing, or if he's just inexperienced, or if it's just the fact that tournaments and ladders are very different. I'm not clear exactly what it is. Maybe he's not sure how to prep for tournaments just yet. But I'm not blown away by Mead. Now, granted, in the most respectful way, I don't think either of these guys are among the top players in the play-ins. I think these are 2 of the weaker guys. So, like, these are both opponents that the other one can beat. But I'm not blown away by Mead. Jimothy Cool, on the other hand, I think is a good pilot, but I think his building needs a good amount of improvement. I think when he hits, he hits. When he misses, and the misses are just atrocious. So, I mean, the best advice that I would give to Jimmy is to get into a group, get into a test group, work with people, have people look shit over. If Jimmy rolls up with good teams, he's going to do well. But if he's just doing it all on his own, he's going to struggle. I think realistically either of these players would lose to the winner of Leo and Cyber Odin. But for purposes of picking this match, I'm going to bet on J. Cool.
I know Mid. I don't really know the Jimothy guy, so I'm just gonna roll with Mid because I don't know the other player. So yeah, let's go Jabba.
Quality insight as always. Thank you. Yeah, I actually don't know much about Jimothy either, other than that's a great username. Uh, I've seen him around, but I haven't really paid attention to his matches. Mead is Mead. I think if Mead does well in this, then that's good for the tour. I think I think he would be a fan favorite. It would be great to see him do well in this. I think you're probably right that the winner probably drops to the winner of the Leo Cybroden match, but I gotta back Mead. I hope he does well in this, and I hope he brings something inventive. I think there's something to be said for how well he was able to build within the restrictions that kept being piled on, and how every single time he was able to come up with something that he was able to break ladder with. I think if he can, use that same kind of inventiveness to bring teams to this, I think he could do well. So I got to back him.
Well, you see, I couldn't get Lanier or Golden Sun, and I don't want Smurf, so we went with Aussie number 4, and we got Jimothy Cool. Okay. Alright, so obviously by pulling this pairing, it will also reveal this pairing. That's how it goes when it's down to 2, but we're just going to discuss them one at a time. So this next person is going to be against Rob Jr., and that's going to be number 4. That would be PK Leech, and then of course that leaves Pac and Siglet here, but we'll discuss that one after. So it's going to be Rob Jr. and PK Leech to round out the Aqua bracket. Jabba?
I rate Rob really highly. He's probably, of all the players in this, he probably plays the most meta games. So I don't know how he fits all that metagame knowledge in his head. Dude plays like Gen 6 ZU, and he's always one of the better players at it. I think he's pretty good in advance. The games I've seen, I think he's looked pretty good. So he's one of my favorites to take the entire play-ins. You look at his next, the next game. That'd be a great game. Rob against one of those two. PK Leach, I think I've heard mixed things from a lot of players about PK. He's a great guy. I've heard he's going through maybe a rough patch. Sorry if you're listening, PK. That's just what I'm hearing. I don't think he looked too great in ROAPL, but obviously that's the least important tournament on Smogon. So I think this could be a good match, but I'm taking Rob here.
Yeah, I think Rob is just the more experienced player here, and I think he has some background with ADV, so yeah, it's just the easy pick. Maybe PK can bring some hit teams and try to beat Rob that way, because I don't think Rob will go outside of his usual stuff. But yeah, I think Rob is just a very good player, and he should do the job quite well.
Well, word of the day: consistency. I think both of these players lack it. Rob Jr., I've seen both sides. I remember Rob Jr., that World Cup year that he went 3-0 and didn't drop a single Pokemon, so he literally went 18-0 in Pokemon against his opponent. I also remember drafting Rob Jr. in SPL, not last year, but the one before, and he went like 2-7 or 3-6 or whatever, and it wasn't pretty. I've seen both sides. PK Leach, I think, also lacks consistency. He's one of those players who, based on his mood and his emotions, can be really, really good or really, really not good. And that's basically how I'm going to formulate my pick here. I think Leach, believe it or not, when he's like on Leach's ceiling, I think is actually higher than Rob's in ADV. Like Leach at his best, I think is as good or better than Rob. However, I think that Rob is really motivated for this based on my private conversations with him. I think he gives a shit and is really going to put effort in. Whereas Leach, as Jabba said, I think is going through whatever he's going through and might not be in the right headspace right now. So picking based on that, someone who does seem to be in the right mindset and does seem motivated versus someone who is maybe lacking confidence right now, you got to go with Rob. I think, even though I think Leach is not going to beat Rob because of himself. Leach can beat Rob, but he won't because he lacks the confidence, which sucks, but it is what it is. All right, now we're here. The final pairing, Siglet and Pak. I'll go first again because I told you guys that I would announce this. I think Pak is the overall best player in the entire thing of play-ins, strictly ADV speaking. That is an unpopular opinion. You guys who are voting don't seem to think that. When I ask players in my channel, hey guys, which two players are going to make it out? Basically, nobody voted for Pak. So I could be wrong, as I often am, but I am very, very high on Pak. Siglet is someone who I originally had in the main event, so that obviously tells you all you need to know about what I think he can do and what his ceiling is. I had him on ROAPL not this year, but the year before. Got him for cheap, and he was very good for me and went 2-0 in playoffs. He really clutched up. So I really like both players, and this is a pairing that I don't want because I like both individuals. I want to see Siglet do well. I'm gonna bet on Pak though. I have to be consistent. I think Pak is the overall best ADV player in these play-ins, even if that is not something that's gonna get a lot of support from the community. So I'm gonna go ahead and double pick. I pick Pak not only to win the match, but I pick Pak to win this bracket.
All right, I'll jump in. I like Sigel a lot. I think he's gonna. I think he's probably in the top half of the play-ins players. I think he's gonna put in work. I think at a quick glance, I think that Magma ended up the weaker.
We're all three of us agree, right? Aqua's clearly the stronger bracket, right?
Yeah, not even really close. So I think I think he might. The winner of this game, I think, might have a run through. I mean, we'll see when it happens, but yeah, I like Siglet here. I don't know much about Pac, but I rate Siglet pretty highly. in the play-ins. I think he's definitely top half, and considering how weak Magma is, I think he could just clean run through. You might see him against Leo. I think that's probably going to be close to everyone's predicted finals here. So that'll be interesting to see play out. But I like Siglet here.
Well, I'm probably even more boomer than Jabba because I don't know either of the players, so I will just shut my mouth.
Perfect. All right, guys, let's round up the brackets. No one's gonna agree with this opinion, but I have Pac over Cyber Odin winning the Magma bracket, and this one's a lot tougher. But
This is not how did that's just raw RNG right there. This Aqua's so much stronger. Poor Aqua players. This is gonna be a rough to get out of here.
yeah,
I don't
I
even
don't
have to tell
feel
you.
I don't feel as good about this one. Here's my prediction though, since we got to make one, and this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, I think, but I'm gonna have Arctic Breeze over Rob Jr. winning
Oh,
the
that's a
Aqua
bold
bracket.
one. Yeah, that's bold. I like that. I mean, that's a pretty ballsy pick. I think any 8 of these players could probably take it.
7. Come on, come on.
Trying to be nice, okay? Oh man. Okay. Any 7. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna back Kale to take this. I think Kale's gonna beat Rob. I think Jumpy versus Arctic. That's gonna be a tough one if that ends up happening. And then the finals. Kale. I gotta believe in him. Kale Pora, my brother.
Over.
I'll take him over. I don't even know. Let's go Arctic.
All right,
Just
so
a mental coin
Um,
flip I made.
and then who do you have in this bracket?
On this one, I like Leo against the winner of Sadly and Siglet. Let's go Siglet. I like Siglet to take it all on this one. So I'll take Siglet and who'd I take on the other side?
Leo.
Siglet and Leo making it out.
Oh, you meant the other
Oh no,
bracket.
oh no, yeah, I mean the Aqua.
All right, so Jabba has Siglet and Kale coming out. I've got Arctic and Pac coming out. Zakaru?
okay, so I think my opinion is gonna be really different. I see Pogis against Fio in finals of the Aqua bracket.
Totally could happen.
Uh, and I would see Pogis slightly favored, but yeah, I don't really want to pick one, but okay, I'll pick Pogis. I'll pick Pogis, but
Okay, so Porges wins the
I
Aqua
think
bracket.
yeah, but I think it's really close. And for the Magma brackets, um, well, I want to go with the underdog, so I'm gonna say mid wins it
Ooh, over who?
that's bold.
over. I don't know because I don't really know Siglut and Pack, so I'm I have to say over Sadlicius,
Fair enough.
but yeah, I think I want to trust in mid, right? I don't know if that's gonna work, but yeah, I just want to give strength to the underdog.
Well, there you go. We have 6 different opinions. Out of the 3 of us, there's no overlap. We have 6 different picks for who makes it. It shows you how hotly contested these play-ins are, and we all agree the Aqua bracket definitely is beefier, but there's going to be good matches on both sides. The players, as of now, are free to play. They've got 1 week and change to do so, 1 week and however many hours. I appreciate everyone who's donated so far. We are pushing $1,000 pre-play-ins, which is awesome. If you want to contribute to that, non-obligatory, of course, feel free to do so. Jabba and Zakaru, thank you for joining me. I'll have predictions up shortly after we conclude this, which is in 2 seconds from now. Callus Invitational 6. Woot, 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 woot. Jabba will be playing. Zoc will be narrating. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining me.
Godspeed.